So I recently started playing Warframe, and man, let me tell you, it's been an absolute ride. But full disclosure, before we dive into this, I have actually played Warframe before, but it was like well over 8 years ago, and I remembered absolutely nothing about the game. So I decided to start a completely fresh account, and for me, that was a fantastic decision. So far, I've logged about 50 hours into the game, and I just wanted to share that experience with you guys and give you my thoughts on my Warframe journey so far. Warframe has always been a game that's been on my radar, but for whatever reason, I just kept dismissing it. Whether that be the thought in the back of my mind that it's 11 years old and I'll never be able to catch up, or that it's a free-to-play game, so how good could it actually be? Or I would talk myself out of it because the combat and movement was so fast, I just didn't think I could get into it, because really, that's just not my style of game. Man, I was so wrong. So when I started the game, it threw me into an absolutely incredible cutscene. And in that cutscene, it introduced me to the playstyles of the 3 Warframes that I could pick from, as well as a great start to the story, which immediately hooked me. From there, I decided to go with Excalibur because a space ninja with a sword looked pretty fun to me. I quickly made my way through the tutorial, and then into the game I went. I was introduced to some of the basics of the game, and I started to work my way through some of the quests. As I was doing this, I found myself very much enjoying the quick movement and combat, something that I thought would be a huge turnoff to me. I was super wrong. I found myself spending time in missions just practicing my parkour skills and just enjoying every minute of it. The gunplay, the melee combat, the movement, all of it was just pulling me in. As I dove a little bit deeper and started to unlock mods, I realized how diverse and fun putting together builds could be in the future. And man, this made me even more excited. So I continued to progress the game a little bit. And then things took a little bit of a turn. Things got really weird because the first quest in my quest log was the Duvari paradox. As a brand new player, I had no clue what this was. So of course, I just started the quest thinking it would lead me down the journey of learning more about the lore, and I was incredibly excited to experience that. Well, I was very wrong again. At 50 hours in, I'm still super confused about Duvari and hoping at some point it begins to make a little bit of sense. As I watched the cutscenes, I was completely thrown off. The cinematic was incredible, but the story made absolutely no sense whatsoever. I found myself creating a new character, and I had no idea why or what was happening. I was asking myself, what happened to the space ninjas and what happened to all of the fun? I was thrown completely out of the flow of the game, but I decided to continue to press on, thinking it would all come together at some point. The Duvari open world is quite impressive, and there's some really amazing things in there. I was having a whole lot of fun, but I was also super confused at the same time. I could definitely see this being a turnoff to brand new players, and brand new players losing a little bit of patience here and just completely shutting off the game. But I am so happy I didn't end up being one of those players and continue to press on, even though the thought did cross my mind. So I won't ruin any of the Duvari information for anyone new out there, but in all honesty, it's not like I really understood anything that was going on anyway. But I will say that if you're brand new, you may want to hold off for a bit and experience other parts of the game first. However, there is an upside to completing Duvari early on. You do unlock what's called the circuit. You can complete the circuit each week and unlock the blueprints for a Warframe. This is an alternative method to farming frames in the game, and it's actually an enjoyable experience. So far, I've gotten 2 new frames out of it, so it's something to consider pushing through. Just know you'll be super confused as to what's happening if you're brand new. Once I made it out of Duvari, the next mode on my star chart was Cetus, and my goodness, I had no idea what was about to happen. I assumed I was heading into just another mission, but instead I was met with another really interesting cutscene and found myself exploring a small town within Warframe, something I had absolutely no idea existed in the game. I was pleasantly surprised and then even more blown away to be introduced to the open world area. I would later find out this was a common theme in the game, and I love everything about it. From what I now understand, Duvari is also an open world experience, but I have yet to revisit it. So for me, visiting Cetus and heading into the plains of Eidolon was absolutely amazing. I stayed there for quite some time and then began to clear out a little bit more of the star chart. It was at this point that I met my next roadblock in the game. I realized that I had maxed out my weapon and my Warframe, and so now I was on the hunt to get more. I had actually farmed Loki from the circuit, so I decided to farm the materials to craft my next frame. Only then did I realize how long it would actually take to craft a new frame or a new weapon. It takes literally days for this process. I was pretty bummed out, so I decided to look into purchasing one instead. I always heard Warframe had a good monetization model, so I thought, well, I'm enjoying the game, so I'll support the game and get another Warframe in the process. So I started looking at some of the platinum bundles, and it was then that I was immediately turned off. All I wanted to do was purchase enough platinum to buy one new Warframe. I really wanted to buy Necros just because I thought he looked really cool, and he was priced at 375 platinum. Well, the 1999 platinum bundle only gave me 370 platinum. So in order to purchase one single frame, I would need to purchase the next tier of platinum, which is $49.99 for 1,000 platinum, or purchase the 1999 bundle and the $499 bundle to get enough to purchase the frame. I was really put off by this. Although I did have 50 starter platinum and I could have gotten him, the price strategy here was really a turnoff. So I started asking people I knew who played the game why people weren't angry with this pricing strategy. They assured me that later on, as I started getting things cooking in my foundry, it wouldn't really be an issue at all. So as turned off as I was to the monetization, I trusted the process and just continued to play the game. And again, I am incredibly happy that I did. After I spent a lot of time over there in the plains of Eidolon, just running around and exploring and just shooting stuff, I went back to progressing the star chart. I then had another moment that absolutely hooked me into the game when I visited Fortuna for the first time. It was at this moment I began to realize and appreciate how amazing the world, the environment, the music, all of it is so amazing in Warframe. I just couldn't believe it, and I still can't, that you can experience a game like this without paying a dime if you don't want to. As turned off as I was by the platinum pricing strategy, I could also acknowledge and appreciate that I hadn't spent anything at all and was having some incredible experiences in the game. Fortuna also tied into yet another amazing open world experience that I found myself lost in for quite a while. From here, I began to unlock some other really amazing things in the game, like my K drive, the arc wing, and even a mech suit that I still have yet to craft. The experiences just kept coming, and I realized more and more as I played that the game just kept giving and giving. There's so many crazy experiences in the game and so many different game modes that you can engage in. I then finally made my way into the second dream quest, and my goodness, oh my goodness, this is when I knew Warframe was going to be a game that I played for a really long time. This quest was absolutely incredible. It blew my mind, and I now have a sense of what's going on. The story really opened up. It just left me wanting so much more. I'm still baffled by the storytelling and experiences that, again, this completely free-to-play game has provided. Warframe is definitely not without its flaws, but the more I play, the more I want to play. This is incredibly unique and something that I haven't had in a game in a very long time. It's something that I've been looking for, and honestly, I just did not expect to find this in an 11-year-old free-to-play game. A few of the negative things I've experienced in my 50 hours so far, though, was the early implementation of the Duvari experience, the weird but intentional pricing of the platinum bundles, and the time gating for crafting new warframes and weapons. The Duvari experience may be new and amazing, but as a brand new player, I felt so lost, and it was super off-putting to get pulled from one experience to a drastically different one so early on in the game. It would be much better, in my opinion, if Warframe allowed you to unlock the circuit early in some form or fashion, but it didn't lead you down the story of Duvari. Possibly introduced you to the game mode somehow through the circuit and then left it at that until later on down the road. I'm also still a little bit frustrated with the platinum pricing, but for now, I'll just have to trust that as I progress, it won't be that big of an issue like others have mentioned to me. And I really wish it were a little easier early on to obtain a new Warframe or two and a few new weapons. As a brand new player, hitting that wall of progression doesn't feel great when you realize that you have to wait literal days to obtain new toys to play with in the game unless you just outright purchase them. However, I did find out later on that I could simply purchase weapons from the market with credits. That definitely helped out, but wasn't explained anywhere in the game. It was something I just stumbled across. This also led me down the path of realizing you only had so many slots for weapons and warframes until you were forced to purchase more with platinum. So I was very happy that I hadn't spent my 50 starter platinum on anything and was able to use that to purchase a few slots. I was also gifted a few from my stream viewers, which was absolutely amazing. So if you're watching this, huge thank you to you guys. One other thing I haven't really mentioned is the difficulty of the game. It's incredibly easy at the beginning, and I still really haven't had too much difficulty clearing any of the map. But the big reason this was an issue isn't necessarily the difficulty itself, but how it feels pretty limiting whenever you're building your Warframe and weapons. It just didn't seem like I needed to put any thought into my mods. I could just auto mod my stuff and it was just fine. And this was a little bit upsetting. I'm hoping that really changes as I progress, because it definitely seems like there's limitless potential with the build diversity in the game. And that's something that I am incredibly excited to experience. And on the topic of difficulty, it's also pretty off-putting as a new player to have random veterans of the game jump into your lobby and clear the map before you even know what happened. I would highly recommend that if you're a new player to play solo for a bit until you get used to knowing what the objectives are for each mission, because this will make your gameplay experience a whole lot better in my opinion. This made my gameplay experience a lot more enjoyable, even though I love grouping up with other players, and I absolutely plan on doing that a lot more in the future. Simply not knowing what was going on in the beginning just wasn't very fun. But overall, Warframe has absolutely blown my expectations out of the water. The moment-to-moment gameplay is super fun. The environment is stunning. The music is incredible. The story is immersive outside of the little Duvari debacle we had, of course. And I find myself just wanting to play the game more. And the more hours I sink in, the more hours I want to invest. It's really crazy. I know I still have a ton of stuff left to experience, and I cannot wait to experience it all. But so far, this has been an incredible 50 hours, and I plan on playing a whole lot more. That was my experience 50 hours into the game. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It would help me out tremendously. And if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on the game, maybe 100 hours, 200 hours into the game in a video like this one as I progress, please let me know in the comments below. I would be happy to make a follow-up video for you guys. And I'm also considering some new player guides and videos as well. So as a new Warframe player, please let me know if you guys think those would do well, or if anyone is interested in that type of content. And I'm also streaming my gameplay over at Twitch at twitch.tv/BDLG every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 o'clock a.m. CST. I would love to see you guys come hang out over there. We have an absolute blast. That's going to do it for this one, boys and girls. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.